Have you ever woken up feeling really heavy? Not physically heavy, like emotionally heavy. And even before the day starts, you're still in bed. You haven't even gotten up yet. And it's like your mind is just immediately reminding you of all the things that could go wrong or all the things that are not happening in the way that you want them to. You feel behind. You feel like you're supposed to be further along. You're failing. Maybe the things that you really want are never going to come together the way that you want them to. Well, I woke up feeling that way this morning, and I know I'm not the only one. I mean, today I want to talk about something what we don't talk about enough because I think a lot of us have been here and we may be here way more than we want to admit. And that is, I want to talk about how to shift yourself. And when you wake up in this negative space, how do you shift out of it so it doesn't like hang on with you all day long and impact what you do and the choices that you make in your day? Because here's the truth. You really do not need to stay in the mood that you wake up to. You can change it. Hey there, welcome back to You Can Emerge Positive. I'm Deanne, and I work with women in midlife and show them a way through to show them they're not too late and to be able to move forward with confidence and intention and purpose and create a life that they feel good in. Today's conversation is a very, very real one. This is not coming from a polished, I have it all kind of figured out morning. This is coming from a very, very human and very real and vulnerable morning that I've had. One of those mornings where I woke up and I just felt the emotional weight before anything even started, before I even sat up in bed. And it was super cloudy and the windows in the bedroom were open and it's humid and it just had a heaviness to the air. And my mind just went right along with it. And I think a lot of us do this where we wake up anxious or sad or discouraged or overwhelmed, maybe restless or just off. And then without realizing it, we all allow that feeling to define the entire day, but it doesn't have to. So this morning I woke up with this wave of sadness and discouragement, and almost immediately my mind started offering me thoughts that just matched that feeling. Like my life isn't where it's supposed to be, or what if this never fully comes together? Have I fallen short in some way? Or should I be doing something else with my life completely? Maybe you've had mornings like that too, where the before the day has even begun, your mind starts to building a case against you. And it starts pulling up evidence, even like that thing that didn't work out, or the goal that you haven't reached yet, the relationship that still feels hard, or the money concern, the health frustration, or the dream that just feels too far away. And suddenly everything looks heavier. It feels harder, more hopeless, and more permanent than it actually is. So, this is what I've learned. When we wake up in that negative headspace or this negative emotional state, our brain often starts collecting evidence to support the feeling. It's almost like the feeling becomes a filter. And through that filter, we don't see the whole truth. We see the version of our life that matches the mood. So if we wake up discouraged, our brain starts looking for proof that we should be discouraged. And if we wake up anxious, our brain starts looking for things to worry about. If we wake up feeling behind, our brain starts comparing to everyone else. And if we don't interrupt that pattern, we're going to carry that energy into everything, which we definitely don't want, right? We'll carry it into our work, our conversations, how we react to people, our relationships, and then, of course, our choices and actions that we take in the day. We become less patient, less hopeful, less grounded, and less connected to ourselves. And I think this is very common in midlife because there can be so much quiet pressure in this season of life. Pressure that by now we should have had all figured out, right? Like that's what we think. We tell ourselves we're supposed to have the career that's perfect and a great marriage, and the money should already be in our savings account and the perfect health, and we know our purpose by now and the future, and we're ready for the next chapter. Yeah. Well, when we feel like we don't have it all figured out, those hard mornings can hit even harder because they don't just feel like a mood, they feel like evidence. But feelings are not always evidence. Sometimes they're just signals things that we should be paying attention to or at least looking towards. And sometimes there's simply emotional weather just passing through. Look, over the years, I've learned something really important. You do not need to stay in the emotional state that you woke up in. Not every feeling needs to become your identity for the day. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about toxic positivity. You know, when you're acting like you're all positive and happy when it is far from the truth. No, not that. I'm talking about denying your feelings or shaming yourself for having them. Okay. I'm talking about learning how to support yourself through emotional momentum because that's what it is, momentum. A negative thought leads to another negative thought. A heavy feeling leads to a heavier story. And before you know it, your entire day is being shaped by the very first few minutes of your morning, which is crazy, right? So this morning, for me, instead of staying in bed and letting like feed that spiral, I got up. I got up and brushed my teeth. I washed my face a little bit. I decided to do a full body stretch, which really helps just start movement in my day. And this time when I did the body stretch, I actually listened to meditation music while I was doing it. And I'm telling you, it made me even more present, which I think made a huge difference. Then I got dressed and went downstairs and got my coffee. And then to wake up further, I started looking at home listings on Zillow. I know that may sound crazy, but for me, it is like a catalyst to open up my creativity and create space and see hopeful things. Like it's something that it's just an opening for me that I love. And I love to start my day looking at it. For you, maybe something different, but for me, it's definitely houses for sure. I love seeing it. And little by little, as I'm looking at Zillow, I could feel myself coming back, not instantly or perfectly or in some dramatic way, but just enough to interrupt the spiral, enough to create a little space between me and the thoughts that I woke up with, and enough to remind me that how I felt at 6 a.m. is not how I need to feel for the rest of the day. I don't need to carry that like backpack of boulders on me. I don't need to carry that heaviness. It's a choice, something that you could choose to interrupt and put down. And that's exactly what I did. That's the shift. So it's not always about feeling amazing. Sometimes it's simply about feeling a little more steady, a little more present, a little more hopeful, and a little more in control of your next step. Like I said, feeling more present is really, really important here. And honestly, I think this is why small habits matter so much. Not because they magically solve everything, but because they ask us to regain traction when our mind starts pulling us somewhere dark or heavy. And we often think that change has to be big, a major life decision or some major transformation, a huge breakthrough, a perfect morning routine, right? But sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is just interrupt the pattern that we're in. Sometimes that shift is listening to music. That's a big one for me. Music is something that really centers me. It shifts my mood. I love it. Sometimes it's a walk. I know lots of people when they go outside and they'll do it first thing in the morning, they'll go for a walk. And being in nature, there's something magical about that and it works. Or doing a stretch, like a full body stretch to be more present in your body. For some, it's prayer or journaling or just reading something encouraging that's motivational and uplifting. Sometimes you could just take a shower and interrupt a pattern that way. Or cleaning your kitchen, having that feeling after you clean a room or you put stuff away and you can look back on the room and see how beautiful it is. That's like powerful stuff. And it does interrupt the pattern. Sometimes you could just open up the curtains and let the sunlight in. And I want to just say something about the sunlight. There is so much out there, research out there, talking about how important it is from like when you first get up in the morning to really connect with sunlight. And ideally to go outside and be on the grass and just, sip your cup of coffee and let the sun be on your body. But if you can't do that, then stand in the window and let it hit you through the window. It's just as powerful. And it's something that is super important for us emotionally as well as physically. So consider that. They're all examples of tiny pattern interrupts, tiny moments of self leadership, tiny ways of reminding yourself, I am not powerless here because feelings are real. They deserve compassion. They deserve attention, but they're not always the permanent truth. And this is important. Just because you feel hopeless in the moment does not mean that your life is hopeless. Just because you feel behind doesn't mean you're failing. Just because you feel stuck doesn't mean that nothing is changing, right? There's a lot of change happening that we can't see. Just because your morning starts heavy doesn't mean that your whole day needs to stay that way. This is where awareness becomes really powerful. Because once you say, okay, I'm in a spiral, well then you're no longer completely inside of it. You've created the separation through having awareness. And that separation gives you a choice. And that choice, not the choice to instantly feel perfect, but the choice to take one small step in a better direction. So, if you wake up tomorrow feeling anxious or discouraged or just emotionally heavy, I want to offer you just a simple practice. Before you believe every thought that your mind is giving you, pause and ask yourself three questions. The first question is, what am I feeling right now? And then name it, but don't judge it. Okay. Yeah. Are you sad? Are you feeling anxious or discouraged, lonely, overwhelmed? Like whatever it is, just name it, but don't judge yourself for it. The second question, what story is my mind attaching to this feeling? The story may be, I'm behind, or nothing is working, or it's too late for me, or everyone else has it figured out but me. Okay. What is the story that your mind is attaching? Okay. And then the third question, what is one small thing that I can do to support myself right now in this moment? What's one small thing that you can do? Not fix your whole life, not solve every single problem, just support yourself in this moment of this feeling that you're experiencing. And that may be just getting out of bed, stretching, like I said, maybe it's drinking water, go to get the sunlight in your face, maybe it's playing music, whatever it is, taking a shower. Just one small intentional shift is really all you need because one small shift can change the emotional direction of your entire day. And sometimes that's enough. So, if you've been waking up anxious lately, or discouraged, or emotionally heavy, like I did, I want you to know something. You're not failing at life. You're human. The goal is not never to have a hard morning. The goal is learning how to maneuver through them with more awareness, more compassion, and more intention. One small shift at a time. And maybe today, your only job is to take one little step forward and start feeling just a little better. Not because everything is now perfect, but because you are worth supporting, even in the middle of the hard morning, especially in the middle of the hard morning. And honestly, these are exactly the kind of conversations that we have in Beyond by Emerge Positive. They're real conversations with women who are in the same phase of life, dealing with the same types of challenges. And we talk about the mindset and the emotional health, confidence, purpose, reinvention, and learning how to navigate the season of life together. Because midlife is not the end of your possibility. It can be the beginning of much, much more, something that's more honest, more aligned, and a meaningful life chapter. So, if you've been craving that kind of community, I'd love to have you join us. Just go to emergepositive.com. All the information is there of how to join and just to hear more about what's involved. It's an amazing, amazing experience. If this episode resonated with you at all, please share it with someone who could really use to hear it. I know I'm not the only person today that woke up feeling heavy or sad or depressed or like they didn't want to get out of bed. Share it with someone that you know that could benefit from it. And also, the other thing I do want to quickly share, I created this free PDF. It's called The Reset. And it's just a curated 10-minute morning routine to help you shift your mind when you first get up in the morning so that you can set your day up for success. It is so simple. It is free. It's also at emergepositive.com. Just click the free button at the top and download it for yourself and start tomorrow. You can truly start seeing change tomorrow. Well, until next time, remember, you do not have to stay in the mood that you woke up with. You can pause, You can shift and you can intentionally begin again. Thank you so much for joining me today. You can emerge positive. I'll see you next Wednesday.